Let us bring in Salman al-Ansari, a writer and political commentator, joining us now from Riyadh. Very good to have you with us here on Al Jazeera. That suggestion that the two countries have said they have no interest in seeing this escalate has also been put out by an unnamed international diplomat. So how hard are they working to stop this becoming a more difficult situation than it already is?
Hello, David. Thank you so much, and hi to everybody. Hi to all the viewers around the globe. It was actually very interesting to see how this kind of rhetoric going and escalating more and more, but at the same time, it's actually been expected to have this kind of rhetoric from the Iranian regime with its backed militias, the terrorists of Hezbollah and the others. So it's not a big of a surprise for us as Saudis, but at the same time, we know for a fact that the judgments and the court laws will be applied against any terrorist disregarding his sect, either Shia or Sunni. We are not differentiating between any of them. We are speaking of 47 terrorists have been executed for their crimes, because among them is definitely Nimr al-Nimr with other 3 Shia terrorists. So we are speaking of 4 Shia terrorists among the majority of the 47 terrorists. So we have nothing to do with the sectarianism like Iran has been doing. And Iran, because I believe personally that they are somehow losing a lot in a lot of battlefields, like in Syria, in Yemen, and also they have a lot of issues in Iraq at the moment. So for that specific reason, they are trying to market for themselves by trying to show to the Shia groups around the Arab world that they are their custodians, that they are their own providers, etc. But the reality is that in Saudi Arabia in specific, there are a lot of Shia citizens who actually against Iran's behaviors in the region, against its own legacy of trying to control the region and expand its influence, and against this terrorist who's called Nimr al-Nimr, who has been charged for creating Molotov cocktails and creating a lot of chaos in the region. And also, I have here a list of 8 charges that I have been mentioning in the media, like logistical support for local terror networks, harboring fugitives, chasing and blocking police forces from chasing wanted terrorists, participating in the formation of a terror network, burning of police vehicles, public incitement of violence. We are not speaking of a cleric or a Shia cleric. We are speaking of a terrorist. So we should be calling things by their names. Nimr al-Nimr has nothing to do with anything to do with...
Do you mind if we move on to the events that have followed these executions, rather than the reasons that may or may not have led up to it? And you wrote a couple of months ago about the increasing tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia. How do the two countries, if they want to, diffuse this?
Okay, I believe that Iran, as I have said, that it's already in the way of its own destruction. That's what Iran is heading towards. Iran has been losing a lot. Even with the Iranian deal, they are actually seeing how they have been somehow marginalized in so many aspects, and right now they are having more sanctions to be put and to be discussed, to be put against them from the United States, from the international community. Because let's face it, let's face the reality. Iran is the global terrorism sponsor, and it knows that. It knows that. So what they are trying to do is just to try to show that they are here, they are present by this kind of rhetoric, this violent rhetoric. But I'm pretty sure that the tension will be somehow lowered down the moment they see a decisive action from the Muslim countries and the countries in the whole world. What I'm really urging the international community to do...
Decisive action...
I'm getting there.
Well, but we only have a certain amount of time, so can I just ask you, what decisive action?
Yeah. Decisive action doesn't need to be militarily. It can always be meant as cutting the relationship, the diplomatic relationship with Iran by 52 Muslim countries that can actually take such actions. We are speaking of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the custodian of the two holy mosques. Saudi Arabia is the country that wants to stabilize the region, not to use sectarian conflicts like what the Iranian regime has been doing. But what I want to urge the international community to not take the narrative of the Iranian regime, to not take the narrative and the propaganda of the Iranian-backed militias like Hezbollah. It's a shame on the whole world if they are actually copying what they are saying and considering what they are saying as the truth. It's a shame on the whole world if we go ahead and differentiate between Shia terrorism and Sunni terrorism. Terrorism should be defined as terrorism, either from Shia or Sunni. And that's what the Saudi Arabian is doing, and that's what they are good at, fighting terrorism, disregarding its sects.
Well, Mr. Al-Ansari, we will leave it there.